Hello, this is a tutorial for how to do the Beach Guy Layers assignment. So I want you to find Photoshop lessons, and that'll bring you to this Google Doc. And you're going to scroll down till you see number 5, using layers. And the first thing you're going to do is you are going to open up Beach Guy, and you're going to click on this download arrow, and you're going to download Beach Guy. And then the next thing you're going to do is download hats. And you're going to download basket. So I've clicked on it, it's opening, and then I'm going to click the download arrow. So you should have Beach Guy, hats, and basket downloaded. They're all .psd files, so you can just click on it and it'll open up in Photoshop. Or if you haven't opened Photoshop, it'll just flat out open Photoshop and open the files. And okay, now you also have to have the directions open. This is not an optional thing. So in Photoshop Unit, next to it we have using layers. I don't know if you've noticed this, but this chart, it says what you will turn in and it says the name of the file. So what you are supposed to name it. Okay, so for this assignment, you're going to turn in both your .psd file and your .jpeg file, and your finished version is going to be your last name in layers. Your last name in layers. So please pay attention to how you're going to save it and turn it in. Okay, so directions time. Okay, so you're going to open Beach Guy, and right away you're going to save it as last name underscore layers.psd, so you get that out of the way right away. So in Photoshop, go to Window and Layers. We're going to actually learn how to use the Layers panel. Some of you have been doing this when you've been messing around, which is awesome. So it's time to learn a little bit more about it officially. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open Beach Guy, and I'm going to rename it File, Save As, and you're going to make sure that you name it, that you save it in your J drive, the folder that has your ID number. So it's going to look like this. Mine has a B in front of it because I'm a teacher, but it's going to look like your ID number, and then it's going to have the J at the end. So remember, we're changing it from Beach Guy to your last name. So my last name is Van Buren, and then layers. And it's already set to be a Photoshop.psd file, so that's where I have that. I'm going to click Save. All right, and then just say OK. All right, so now we need to have the Layers panel open. So how do we do that? Yours might already be open, so if you see something in the corner here that says Layers, awesome. Otherwise, you're going to need to go to Window and Layers, or press F7, because that's the shortcut key. And now you can see that I have all these layers. I have one called Background, I have one called Shadow. I'm on the figure layer. You can see that I'm on the figure layer because it's kind of a different color. It's like gray. There's shirt, pants, vest, shoe. And you'll notice there's a little eyeball next to the figure layer, and there's not an eyeball next to the other ones. All right, so back to those directions. So in Photoshop, go to Windows and Layers. We did that. Notice that some layers have an eye by them. When there's an eye, that layer can be seen. When the eye is not there, the layer is hidden. So click to make sure that all the layers are being shown. I'm going to go in and I'm going to click where the eyeball is on each layer. So I'm kind of turning those layers on so that they're visible. Okay, so you can see now that I have a little person with an outfit holding a shoe, which is a little random, but you know, there we go. All right, now it says click on the shirt layer and drag the layer up to move the shirt above the pants layer. You see I got shoes, vest, pants, shirt. So I'm going to click on the shirt layer, and then I'm going to use my mouse. I'm going to hold down with my mouse, and I'm going to use it to pull it up. It might take a minute for you to get it to work. See my little hand, it wants to pull it up, but I gotta really drag it. There we go. So now shirt is above pants in the layers panel. And you can see now that the shirt, well, you can't, like, you see the shirt is over the pants now, right? Okay. So notice that this makes it so that the shirt appears to be on top of the pants image. Next, double click the pants layer and enter the name shorts. So make sure you click on the word pants. So I'm going to pants, and the actual word here, I'm going to double click it, and now it looks like this, and I can type in there and I can rename it. So far what I want you to understand is that these layers, the order they're in, makes a difference in terms of how it appears on the screen. So this is what it did look like, but when you move the shirt layer above, it changes that. And then also that you can rename things by double clicking and typing in there. This will help when you have a lot of layers that you're working with. Just trust me on this one. So knowing how to name your layers and that the order of them makes a difference from top to bottom. Okay. Now we're going to double click on the background layer and we're going to enter the name Seascape. So background, double click on the word background. Whoops, I don't know what that is. And maybe if I unclick the lock, there we go. And now I'm going to name it Seascape. I have named my layer Seascape. Change the opacity of your Seascape layer to 60%. So I gotta make sure I'm on the Seascape layer, and where it says opacity right here, this is where I can change it to 60%. And you can see it's lighter now. All right, click OK, did that. Now we're gonna go to Edit, Preference, Transparency, and Gamut. So see how there's like checkered stuff? That checkered stuff represents that something is transparent, that there's like no color there, it's not filled in or anything. So we're going to turn off the checkered. It'll still be transparent, but you won't see the weird checkers anymore. So again, edit, preference, transparency, and gamut. Edit, preference, preferences, transparency, and gamut. All right, and then in here, we're changing the grid colors, grid size to none. Directions say click OK and then do File and Save. So I changed the grid size to none, clicking OK. I'm going to go to File and Save. Remember, we already renamed it, so we're not doing Save As, we're just doing Save. Okay, that's because Photoshop doesn't automatically save like Google Docs. I want you to get in the habit of saving so you don't lose your work. Some of your classmates are already in a hurry to leave at the end of class and they just shut down and then all their work is gone because they didn't save it. All right, so now we're going to add and edit layers. So we're going to select the Seascape layer and we're going to choose a new layer from the layers palette. And I'm going to show you how to do a new layer. So we're on the Seascape layer. You can go here and choose new layer, this little lines thing near the layers panel, or at the top where it says layer, you can also click on that and choose new layer that way. They both do the same thing. Once this pops up, you just click OK. And now you can see I have Seascape and then I have this random layer that's called layer 1. Back to those directions. So enter the new layer, name the new layer gradient. gradient. Okay, so we're clicking on the words layer 1 and we're typing in gradient. Cool. All right, now we're going to go to Window, Swatches, and select a medium shade of purple. So my swatches is already right here. If you don't see your swatches panel, then you can go to Window and click on swatches and it'll pop up. I already have a check mark on it, which means that it's open. All right, we're looking for a medium shade of purple. So maybe not super dark. I don't know. This one looks pretty medium. I'm going to go with this shade of purple. Now what are we doing? Be sure that the gradient layer is selected. Select the gradient tool and choose gradient darken. Okay, so one thing at a time, make sure the gradient layer is selected. So that means in your layers panel, this means it's selected. So make sure that you click on the gradient layer so you can see that it's selected. Then it wants you to use the gradient tool, which is underneath the paint bucket, or they live together. So switch to the gradient tool. And then we're going to mess around with the functions up here on the top. That's sort of the dialog box. So select the gradient tool and choose the darken from the gradient options. So that's up here under mode. I'm going to change it to darken. Okay. And drag the mouse vertically from top to bottom. So we've got that first box, dither transparency. So I've got this first box chosen. I'm on the gradient layer. I've got a little bit of purple in here. And so I'm going to click here and drag across the bottom from top to left, and I'm going to let go. And that added kind of a cool gradient. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the layers palette and I'm going to change the opacity to 60%. So I'm on the gradient layer. I'm going to change this to 60%. And I can just type in 60, so I'm going to do that. So now you can see that the gradient and the seascape together have combined, and now it's sort of this prettier purplish beachy color, which is pretty cool. And we got to get in the habit of saving, so File and Save so you don't lose your progress. All right, now we're leaving it open, but now we're going to open hats. We're going to open the hats file. So I'm going to my hats file, and it says, using the selection tools that you've learned in previous lessons, we're going to select one hat. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in because these are a little too tiny. Okay, we have several options of hats. They're all kind of fun for the beach. I'm going to go with the first hat. So, I don't know, there's lots of different ways to do it. I'm going to do this. I've got a little rectangle around there. Then I'm going to grab the magic wand tool and slide it on the minus. Tolerance at 20. Kind of like we did the radish eyebrows. And I'm going to click on that. Now, I don't want this chunk of the hat, so I'm going to switch to my quick selection tool, put it on the minus, and there we go. Now I have this hat. Okay, so I've got it selected. Using the selection tool, select one hat. Okay, now click on the move tool and drag it to the beach guy screen. Okay, and it says drag until you are on the screen and then, oops, that's a typo, and then release the mouse. Okay, so I've got the move tool. I've got this hat selected. I'm going to click on it with my mouse and I'm going to drag, and I'm dragging my mouse over to this tab, and I'm still not letting go until I've got the mouse on this little square on my screen. And now I'm going to let go, and you can now see I have a layer 1 and I have the hat, and now I can move. Oh, what did I just do? Control Z, edit, step backward. I just clicked on something weird. So you guys can see how your teacher messes stuff up too. Don't apply. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to